default. When you don't know what to do,
Yeah.
you can kind
When I was 3 years old, I started drawing. And when I would draw, I would be this crazy, crazy perfectionist. So, everything had to be perfect. And, the grass had to be the right height, exactly, and it had to be straight. And, the sun had to be in the exact right place. And, and it had to be perfect. And what would happen is that inevitably I would make a mistake. And that mistake would be like the worst thing in the entire world. And I would be so frustrated, and I would have to rip it up and throw it in the garbage and start all over again. And this went on for a while, and it was just like over and over again, this like frustration. Until one day I was drawing this elephant, and the elephant was perfect. It was going well, and the elephant looked just like an elephant is supposed to look, and I'm happy and drawing in gray, and then all of a sudden, like always, there's a mistake, and the ear was just like a little bit off. And right before I was about to go into this, like, that same sort of process of like getting so frustrated and ripping it up and throwing it in the garbage, my brother, who was sitting right next to me and watching me do this, just said, wait. And he just stopped me. And I said, hold on one second. I'm just going to show you something. And I said, okay, this is like shot anyway. I'm just going to throw it in anyway, whatever. And he took the red crayon, and he started drawing this big heart over that ear and colored it in and said, voila. And I thought, at first I was like, what? This heart on this ear. But then I looked at it and I thought, wow, it's so nice. And why can't an elephant have a heart on his ear? And so, I was happy. And that was the first time that I realized that I could, that my drawing was mine, that I could do whatever I wanted in it. And two, that art was freedom. So, generally in the real world, we kill a goldfish, that goldfish is dead, and there's nothing we can do about it. And yeah, sure, we can buy a new goldfish and say sorry a million times, but that goldfish died, right? And it's not the same goldfish. And so generally the way that we see mistakes is that like it's something that we need to say sorry for. It's something that we need to work through, and sort of, it happened, and it's a negative thing. But what I found when I was 3, and what I find in drawing and painting all the time, is that these mistakes are these moments where you can sort of go in this direction where you would never have gone otherwise. And so there are these gifts instead of these horrible ends. And really that they don't really exist in painting. I am going to do a little exercise with you guys. So if you can grab a partner, not actually now, but grab a partner, and one person will be the scanner, and the other person is going to be the watcher. And I want the scanner to just keep their faces very, very straight. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your eyes all the way to the right and scan across to the left, and then scan back. And what the watcher is going to do is just watch what happens when we do that, when your partner does that, and watch the person's eyes. So if everyone can come together and then start scanning now. Scan, okay, great. Okay, so one of the watchers, can you tell me what you saw? Watcher?
the eyes were like jumping.
Yeah, exactly. So what happens when we look around us is that we focus on things that we can name. So, I look from here to here and I say couch, pillow, door, camera, person behind the camera, person that I recognize, bag, fan, right? And so we constantly we have to name these objects that we see. And what we ignore is everything in between. So, everything that happens in between those objects that we ignore. What happens when you paint is that you need to recognize both the objects that we name and the objects that we don't name. So the spaces that happen around, Inbar's face, right? Between her and that wall, there's this little unnamed space that is really cool shape. So that's as important as, as Inbar. I mean, in my drawing, right? I have a question for you. Tell me, how many legs does a chair have?
4.
Perfect. Good. Now, can you just look at this chair right now and tell me how many legs you see?
2, 2.5.
Great. So when we look at things, our mind's eye fills in the blank for us. So when we look at a chair, let's say, we say, this chair has 4 legs. I don't even have to look at it. It has 4 legs. And that's the way we see everything. This fan stands up like this, and it has 4 legs like that, and we don't have to look at it. We just know, But when you paint and when you draw, you have to constantly override that system. So you're constantly saying, what does it actually look like? What do I actually see? What am I actually experiencing? And not what I know I should be experiencing or what I know this is supposed to look like, but what does it actually look like? When was the last time you looked at a kohlrabi for 2 minutes? What about for 10 minutes? 20 minutes? An hour? So I do that all the time. I look at an object and I say, I'm going to look at this for, 5 days. And, generally there's a hierarchy of what's important and what's not important. We have money is important. People are important. They are important. But what about that kohlrabi? There is something about spending all that time looking at the way that the shadow, the way that the kohlrabi is related to the ground, and the way that the ground is related to the kohlrabi, and the way that the leaves go, and the way that the light hits the leaves, and the way that, that's what happens when you paint. Generally, we look at art to give us an experience of life. Gives us a taste of what the human experience is. But in my experience, art making actually gives me tools in order to experience life differently. So, for example, embracing process and embracing mistakes. Seeing that they are really moments of something that can be a gift. Moments that can take you somewhere where you would have never experienced, never thought to experience. Our mind's eye and assumptions. We always come to things with assumptions. I know you're from New Jersey, and I know everything about you because you're from New Jersey, and I know everything about New Jersey people, and I don't even need to meet you. I know, having to turn that off constantly is such an amazing tool. I need to look at this. I need to look at you, and I need to experience you without knowing you're gonna have 2 legs, right? Seeing it and actually experiencing it. And finally, those unnamed spaces. So, we always need to name things. We need to know exactly what it is. We need to, our feelings, we need to name our feelings. We need to name everything around us. But this ability, this understanding that you can take both unnamed and named things is really beneficial. So I want us to walk away with with this understanding that, you know, we always think about, you know, how important the arts are for kids in school. It's in our conversation now a lot. But what about for us? You know, it could be, what I've realized is that there are tools that not only seeing art, but art making can give us that are beneficial for the way that we can live our lives. Thank you.